Hi everybody, it's Janie at the League-Kempner house. We had a little technical difficulty with this video. The cicadas are so loud when I played this back, you could barely hear me talk over them. So I'm just going to voice over, pardon the lips not matching. But we are back today here at the League-Kempner house in Galveston, and work is continuing on the roof vents. You've seen us do these in several videos. I think 2 videos ago, Heather and I tackled the final cleanup and painting of these, and I'm back to put a second coat on today, finish up one more that we had not worked on yet with that paint stripper and the pressure washing, and then get on to the repair work, which is really critical for these. So you guys have seen the process before, so we're just going to time lapse right through it. Getting that second coat on is a little bit more problematic because it dried in between. I have to sand it down to get the gloss off so the paint will stick, and it goes on pretty thick, and with this hot sun that even makes it harder to paint. So I want to get the shade up and on these guys. It's really strange now that they're painted with this paint. When you touch them, they're actually cool to the touch. It is so reflective. But I'm waiting on Walter. I could not get the tent all the way up, so I went ahead and got to work on pressure washing the other one while I'm waiting on him to come and help me finish. And the paint stripper I used on this was a little different than I had used on the other one. It was not really effective, and it actually stained the paint kind of a weird orange color, so I was a little concerned about it. I went ahead and did the best I could with the pressure washer, but then it was going to require a lot of mechanical scraping and sanding to get this one ready. This one was actually in pretty good shape, and it needs a little bit of repair work on the back. So once I get it cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and start on that repair work. And how I'm repairing it is just the way it was made. You'll see when it's turned over, it's something called a pop rivet. It's a very simple process. You drill a hole, put the rivet in, and you have a little tool that deforms the rivet and holds the two pieces together. It'll make more sense when you see it. But that is the plan for today, is to get this guy cleaned up, get the repair work done, and finish up that painting, which hopefully won't take too long, and get started on the big repair of the one that we have left that's in 2 parts. Okay, I was giving a tour and looked out the window and found some more hurricane damage that we didn't notice before. This has pulled through and our flashing come up, and that is now a danger because the wind could catch that and blow that off. So I'm going to finish giving the tour, then I'll have to come up and deal with that. As I'm watching this, I realize I never did go back and put that flashing back on. I got distracted by the tour, which I do often, and it's not a window I normally go look out, so I had just completely forgotten about that. So it's relatively attached. I don't think it'll blow off, but it could get wind under it and get lifted off more and fall to the ground. So I really need to get back and do that. So that's going on the to-do list for this week. But anyway, back to the scraping. I was very unhappy with how that paint stripper worked on this one. It just wasn't really as effective as that citrus strip that I used on the others. And so I scraped and scraped and scraped, and then finally decided to get the sander out and see if I could get a little more of it off. It's interesting. These were painted obviously with different kinds of paints because each one reacted differently to the different paint removing techniques, and the paint on this one was pretty stuck. So we're not trying to get everything off, we just don't want anything loose. If it's so stuck on there that stripper can't get it, that the pressure washer can't get it, scraping can't get it, and the sander can't get it, it's probably going to be on there for a while. So as we've talked about before, these are, I don't know, I calculated it 60 something feet up in the air. They can barely be seen from the ground. So as long as the paint adheres, we're going to be okay. I really wanted to get this done, get the painting done, and get started on the repair work. That was really my goal for today. So I finally got this where I considered it good enough, and it was time to flip it over and start on the repair itself. And I apologize, as the day warms up, usually the cicadas get quieter, and they are quieter now than they were, but they're still pretty loud in the background. All right, Walter is upstairs giving some tours, so I was able to flip this by myself, and I just did a test rivet to see if I could do it. So you can see, to get this to curve, they've cut the metal, but there's just a handful of rivets. These others are not stuck down, and I don't think that's enough to hold this, because this is the piece that gets nailed to the roof, and it has to be firmly attached enough to this piece to keep this from blowing off. So I'm going to go in and do a rivet on every second or third little tab. Now I'm doing them this direction because this will be flush to the roof, and the other side, when you do it, it leaves a little nub sticking out. So I don't want that on the roof side rubbing on the shingles. I am going to use a shorter one. That one was a little too long. And with it flipped upside down, I can now see this edge, which I couldn't see when I was scraping, so I need to come back and do some prep work on that edge. But I want to get busy drilling holes. I did the test, one, to make sure I had the right size drill bit in here. It's a 1/8 inch. And I asked my husband if I needed a special drill bit. He said no, just make sure it's not a wood bit, that anything I had should be good. And he bought me these for my stocking stuffer. So I'm assuming he knows what he bought me. So I'm going to get busy. Now this bin, let me see if I can bend one of these up. It doesn't go back too far, it just goes right here. So I'm going to try to do it a little closer to this lip, to this end, to make sure it gets actually in this metal and is secure. And I used my rubber mallet to knock those down as close as I could. So I'm going to start drilling. I don't have Joe here, but I think I can do one-handed and show you once it starts. Goes through pretty easy. Of course, I left all the rivets inside. Let me go get those and show you how that works. Here's my little assortment of pop rivets that came with my tool. All this was only $19. And they're just different. They're all the same diameter, just different depth. Let me see if I can... It's quite a mess here. I'll get one out and show you. So the difference is the length of this little extension right here. So you drill a hole, put that through, use the tool, actually pulls this out, and while it's pulling out, it deforms the bottom, expanding it to make it grip. So you don't need something that long for what we're doing. I'm not sure if this is long enough, so I'm going to take one of those. And I don't know if this is long enough, so I'll take one and test it. And so this doesn't fit in here. That's the wrong way to do it. This is the correct way to do it, because this tool will grab and pull this bottom piece forward. Just all the way through and tight. These are together. And I just squeeze. And every time I squeeze, it pulls it and deforms it a little more. And you just keep going until it pops off. on. It's tight. I do think those are long enough. So it's a very easy process. Get it in there, guys. And this is the short one, so it's only going to take a couple of squeezes. Not down flush. I'm going to leave that up right now. I'm going to get my hammer and try to pull this tab or beat it down flush with this flange. Better, but I'm still not happy with that. I need to get the regular hammer and see if I can bend that a little more. So I'm going to leave that alone and continue working my way around. I think I'll drill a few holes and come back with my pop rivets. I wish I'd had Joe here filming today. It probably would have been a more coherent video. I could only set up the tripod, and apparently my shirt gets in the way of a lot of the shots, but I think you get the general idea. It is a very simple process. You just have to drill a hole, put the pop rivet in, and then squeeze it. Unfortunately, there are still things that can go wrong. It's very important that the two pieces of metal that you're joining be tight together when you squeeze that pop rivet. And the way these little tabs are, as you've seen, they can bend up and not be together. So it takes a little work, and then things shift after you drill the hole, and if the holes don't line up exactly, then it's hard to get that pop rivet in there. And you can't drill too big of a hole because these rivets only deform and expand so much. So if you drill the hole too big and the pop rivet is loose in there, you don't get the strength of the connection that you really need. So everything's shifting around, and then, as I complain about all the time, I have little bitty weak hands, and I can't quite get a grip on the tool that you use to squeeze these together. So it takes two hands, and I have to get a lot of force and lean on it at times to actually work it. My husband could do it in a heartbeat. He has giant, strong hands, but the tool is just meant for somebody with bigger hands. It's not high tech, but it does take a little bit of finesse. So I just continued working my way around and getting the ones that were easy first, because that's the way we all work, I think. And then I came back later and got the ones that were a little more difficult to do. I did have a problem with my drill bit. I broke a couple of bits, and I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know if it was because of that metal shifting and putting some uneven pressure on it, or if they just got too hot and got brittle and snapped. But at the end of the day, it got done, and I was happy with the result of it. So this was actually the easy one. That's why I wanted to do it first. The one I have yet to do, I never did get it drug out today and worked on it, was as usual, this took way more time than I thought it would, but that one you'll be able to see the process up close and a little better because Joe was there to film that day. But I got this one taken care of. As I said, it was the simpler one to do, so it was a good test to start with. And then I moved on to the painting. As I mentioned before, this is a 4-step process. We had done a cleaning, a degreasing, and then kind of a base primer coat that neutralizes and seals the rust, and then this final top coat. And because it cured, I had to sand it, which I did before, so I came back after I finished all the repairs and finished up the painting. And since it was the second coat, it was a lot easier, and it did look really nice with the second coat on. All of the streaky, blotchy places went away, and it's just a great coating. As I mentioned, it's so reflective. Normally a surface in the sun absorbs heat and gets really hot, and when Heather and I were working on these, they were so hot to the touch you couldn't put your hand on them. That's why we drug out the tint when she and I were working on it before. This time, even though they were sitting in the sun, when you put your hand on it, they were cool. It's so reflective, this white coating. You can understand why the white roof push to get heat reflected off of houses. It does keep them cooler. It was just astounding. I was really, really impressed with the performance of this paint, and hopefully it's something that will last forever up on the roof and be protective of the harsh climate that we have down here. But a simple process. I will be so glad when these things are done. It may have been a simple process, but it was a tedious process, and it was physically demanding, and it was so hot. It would have been nice if we could have done these in the fall, but that just didn't work out. You can't pick your timing on some things. We've got to get this roof finished and get our gutter up. So I'm glad to get these behind us and move on to something else, because we have a lot of things going on at the house right now in terms of fundraising and events, and there's just so much other work to get done. It's been a very busy year, but we're very happy with where things stand right now. But I wrapped this up, and it was on to another day.
We're talking today about, uplights and making this place look really spectacular for the Ghost Coast Festival.
Yeah, we are working today on the Ghost Coast Festival. That's Johnny and his light and sound guys. And we just happen to have
Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
somebody coming for a tour who knows Johnny.
You're a big fan of his stuff.
Jeb at US Backline for any of your video, audio, visual needs.
Is he better than us?
I know. Is anybody better than me, really?
With you and your sister, Joe and Jeannie join forces on the YouTube channel. You guys provide some hilarious moments. Particularly you crawling out the window in the last video.
That's what made me think
I couldn't. Crawling out was not a problem. Crawling back in was really hard.
I can get on roofs.
I have something for Joe.
Oh, this is for me?
Gift for you.
Oh, okay.
Did you like my censoring of her?
I know. I always tell her, don't direct me. Oh. Oh, it's multiple things.
Yes, but read the front.
Okay. This says the League-Kempner house.
No, it doesn't. Read it slowly.
The League.
The League-Kempner house.
Kempner house.
I did it wrong.
I know.
That was my prototype. Thank goodness I only ordered.
And, ooh.
Our prototype shirt.
The prototype. I am the first ever to have this shirt. And the best part on the back.
The sister.
The sister.
She's been wanting one forever.
The sister. Because whenever we go out in public, people see me and they recognize me from the videos and they're like, oh, you're the sister. So I am the sister. Yeah. Oh,
And
in the
that
front.
does not say the League-Kempner
This
house.
does not say League-Kempner house.
And that's our beautiful artwork done by Jan.
Yeah, this is new.
Donated
It's beautiful.
her artwork to us. So yay.
So you will soon be able to get your own, but it won't say the sister.
I think we've proven today that it takes two to video, so thank you, Joe, for all you do for the house. I know I tease her a lot, but she's a good sport, and just like all the other volunteers, everyone brings something unique to this project, and we couldn't do it without everyone pitching in. It really is a community effort. And before you ask, no, the shirts are not in the store. We were not happy with the quality of the t-shirt itself on the prototype, so we are continuing to look for a new printer, but we will let you know when we get our new shirts up. Thank you so much for supporting us here on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Also, you mean so much to the restoration of this house. We couldn't do it without you either. So we will see you next time here at the League-Kempner House in Galveston, Texas.